In this video, I'm going to share with you the three elements or components of design which make up web design. Now, I hope that makes sense, but essentially what I mean is that when we talk about web design, a lot of people have a lot of very different ideas, but in my experience in over 20 years in web design, and as I've grown as a web designer, I've realized that there are three core concepts, three core areas of design, and all of these actually compete against one another, but they're all equally important if you would like a beautiful, high converting website that ranks on search engines. Now, before I actually outline what these three areas of design are for web design, I would like first to say that obviously you can't learn all of these all in one go. It's important to be aware of them, but quite honestly, in 20 years of web design, I realized that, like most people, and that I started with one area of that design, and as I was more exposed to creating different websites and different challenges, I learned the importance of the other two. In fact, working in an agency environment for the last 3 years, I've really learned a lot more about the final two. So what are the three areas of design that make up web design? Well, first of all, we've got aesthetic design, and this is obviously about how a website looks. It needs to be visually appealing, and obviously this is what you see when you are starting a new project and you might go around lots of inspiration websites. And this is part of my own process. I go around and look at lots of different websites, usually within the industry that I'm designing for initially, and I try and get some visual inspiration for the aesthetic feel and look and how I can implement a brand. So aesthetic design is a really important part of web design. Now, obviously, this is usually what people think about when they think of web design, but there are two other aspects. What are these? The next one is conversion design, or what I think of as more customer journey design. And this is more about information architecture, is about how you lay out the page, how you plan a user's journey through the site, making sure they have easy navigation, making sure they have information available to them that's relevant to where they are in their journey. And all of these are things that you start to learn about how to lay out initially a homepage or a service page. Now, a lot of pages can have a typical sort of layout that you will probably use for each of these different scenarios, but that's exactly what is so important about customer journey or conversion design. It's built on a set of core principles which really you should adhere to if you want a website to be converting. So obvious elements for conversion or customer journey design are at the end. You'd like a call to action. In the middle, you probably want a call to action button available. And obviously you want to ensure that information is where it should be all the way throughout the page. The next area of design that makes up web design is SEO and ranking design. And what I mean by that is that it's usually in the back end or in the background of aesthetic and conversion or customer journey design, where you will find that you are optimizing for search engine ranking or Google ranking. Now I'm going to look through a couple of websites so that we can look at the three elements of design at play, how they compete against one another and how they can really screw each other up really. And then we'll be able to more fully understand how we need to try and achieve a balance of these within a web page. So let's have a look at a cliche Venn diagram so we can more easily have a look. Understand this concept. Obviously, web design, there are so many different elements to it, but as I design different sites in freelance or in my agency work, I'm constantly finding that every project is at war with these three elements. And again, before we pop along to a couple of sites to see some examples, I'd like to go through why they can battle with each other and what can be the difficulties in the process. So obviously aesthetics is about content gathering. You need to gather like great images. Images will make or break a website, obviously. Stock images can look cheap. It messes up the brand image and people lose trust in the company if it just looks all a bit typical, if it just looks all a bit cheap and the same as everything else. But then equally, some images that have been taken by clients with their mobiles, that might not look visually appealing and it doesn't look professional. So this can often lead to people losing trust in the company. It doesn't look like they've put effort in, and you only get one chance to make a first impression, obviously. Now, my position is that a lot of template DIY websites that charm business owners into thinking they can do their own website, they are purely based on aesthetics. And, they look good, they look pleasant, they are aesthetically pleasing, but they don't have page layouts that consider conversion, and they certainly don't have page layouts and back-end functionality that really can deliver a punch for SEO and ranking, especially not in a scalable way. And so we find that websites that are really just built for aesthetics, they're hollow and shallow experiences. They often don't have a great call to action, and businesses generally don't really get a return on investment from these sort of websites, and they certainly don't get the leads coming in. This type of website generally tends to be more of a brochure, sort of digital online business card and nothing more. Let's think of now an extreme conversion type of website, and we know these. There's a lot of copy. There might be big bold text, and it's all about the landing page and saying about how our customers have made tens of millions of dollars and all of that, and it's often a long line of text and lots of buy now or get in touch now or join my webinar now, and those sites, they are too heavy on conversion, and often bizarrely that they don't really convert because people don't trust them. There isn't a nice balance with the aesthetics. Now, of course, there's also not any heading structure there or copy that's appealing to any particular keywords, and so their pages won't really rank on their own, and so we find that those sites are generally here, so that's not really where we want to be. And then, of course, we all know about SEO ranking sites that are just built for trying to get ranked on Google. The blog posts just seem like they're keyword stuffed, and you go to a location page and it's got 100 different town or city names, or names of smaller areas within the town, and it's absolutely jam-packed with an attempt to rank on search engines. And it's not user-friendly, which means that there's no journey that a customer can take. There's no journey that they can take to a call to action. It's too geared towards appealing to Google. And as we know, Google doesn't even like that. It doesn't consider it helpful for their customer, which is obviously someone who wants to buy something or get information. And so if anything, a website that is too focused on SEO and ranking often doesn't charm Google or the website viewers. And so we can have websites, and we're all familiar with websites that are on the extreme of any of these areas, and we know that they don't really perform any good function. And you don't need me to go into every example in this video, but we can all think of websites that have a great aesthetics and a great customer journey. Maybe it's really, using animation to tell a story and guide a customer to a call to action. And they would sit around here, but they haven't had an attempt with SEO. So there's no good heading structure. There's no keyword focus to obviously let Google know that this page is about this, and that it should rank for that search term. So it's interesting to start looking at different websites and indeed our own designs and consider where they fall on this Venn diagram. And I found this, once I realized what I was doing on this, I found this to be really helpful. And obviously we would like our web designs to be sitting right in the middle. Now, obviously, how you learn all of these is different for everybody, but I think most people start learning the aesthetic side of web design. And actually, a lot of people think that that is what web design is. I certainly started there. I was all about chopping up images and making a fantastic menu so that I could code it into it doesn't matter. It was hand coding and trying to bring images in so they could be clicked, and very awful, but it was all about how it looked. But the website was slow. I remember the first time, a photography site, and it just, I wasn't thinking about conversion, and certainly at that point, I wasn't thinking about ranking. And so I think we all start here, and we all have that idea of web design being in the aesthetics circle here. Now, something else I'll say is that this is where our clients usually sit. We know that we usually present to them a homepage, and it's often about how it looks. And I sometimes say to clients, I want to present to you the homepage and just get a vibe check. Are you happy with how your brand is implemented here? Are you happy with the sort of pictures and things? Now, I started to question myself a little bit on that because invariably they start making particular demands and they're all related to aesthetics. For example, I worked on a project recently. Well, it's still not exactly brought to fruition actually at this point, where they wanted to move the logo and make the logo bigger in the header. They also wanted to remove the call to action that was in the top right hand corner of the screen in the navigation. And as the page would scroll, the call to action would follow us down. Now, the client was purely focused on aesthetics in those considerations. And although I was saying, well, if the logo's in the middle, we have to split up the navigation, and it makes it harder for the user to understand intuitively what is where in terms of navigation, I would rather keep it on the top right. That made a lot of sense to me for the customer journey, for keeping everything easy for the customer, keeping it quite conventional if I'm honest. But obviously, I just wanted them to know intuitively that all of the main services were on one strip in the navigation. The last thing that's important really in the header is the logo. But clients always want it to be bigger. They always want it to pop. They always, if they can, they want it to be central. And it's not customer focused. It's not going to help the customer journey. Another demand of this client was that the call to action that was in the top right of that navigation bar would be removed. I don't know what the purpose for it was. They just didn't like it. And so now as the customer or potential customer is halfway down the page, there's no visible call to action and it doesn't do anything for the conversion potential of that website. So the biggest squabbles you're going to have with clients are going to be in because they are concerned with aesthetics. Now, maybe in another video, we'll talk about how we can work with clients to consider all of these different elements. But essentially, they're going to need to trust that what you are doing aesthetically is also serving their call to action and their conversions and ultimately their revenue. And the reason why you have certain headings in certain places is for the SEO ranking potential. So if they would like a beautiful website that converts and brings them revenue and also ranks on search engines and brings traffic to their business, then they're going to have to trust you to create something that's right in the middle here. So let's have a quick look at a couple of websites and understand how this might look in practice. So here's a website that I put live a couple of weeks back within my agency work, and I like to think that it's aesthetically pleasing. So we're in this circle right now. And obviously I've used, nice full width images to convey, the idea of really beautiful professional kitchens. And I actually chose to use people in the images so that website users would project themselves into their funky new kitchen and think of the good times they'll have in the heart of their home. I felt that was something that really suited this company. And all of that obviously is coming across in the aesthetics, but I'm using elegant typeface where possible to appeal to the female target market of interior design. That seemed like an important visual to maintain throughout the site. And then, of course, consistent typography and as I present all of the different elements of this business. So aesthetically, I like to think that it's really quite pleasing. But there is a conversion journey at work as well. So what are those components? The use of this typeface to connect more emotively or with the emotive points, that's very deliberate as well, because as somebody scans down the page or moves down the page and they're scanning, these are the parts that start to, jump out and make sense to somebody. It paints the picture of this company. In terms of customer journey as well, the navigation is quite clear. The primary services are all on the main navigation, and I've put the secondary navigation up at the top. People can find it if they really want it. The primary service for this company is the kitchens, and I've used visual hierarchy, which is a visual aesthetic element, but I've used that to bring that forward in the customer's journey and the customer's awareness. Again, also buttons consistent in their aesthetics, but it's part of the user journey. It's part of conversion, which is that the call to action is a big block button, as we know is a typical call to action, and it follows us down the page, which I think is really important. And with the secondary button, there's a consistent aesthetic style which communicates something for the customer journey, which is that this is where you get more information. This is navigational. So we've got this consistent style of buttons, which helps somebody in their customer journey. They learn it very quickly on the page, that this is how they can use the website. Now, scrolling down, obviously you can see again, they don't have to go all the way up to the navigation. If they decide, I want to learn more about the company, they go to the About page. And again, I've been quite clear on what they are navigating to. So it's not just to find out more or learn more. I've put that on the buttons, and that's actually a customer journey consideration. So the design of this page is to offer the website user that information which they need, any navigation that they need. So whenever they decide, actually, I've seen enough, I want to contact this company, they've got a call to action available. Now, another part of conversion design is really that every page should answer or address customer objections or answer their questions. And so that's approached here with simple information. You know, we design, you don't have to be overwhelmed. We install, we don't just supply. So we can, take care of all of those needs. And then we've got some social proof. Another thing that I thought was best really was to pull out elements of the reviews, which in hindsight, I feel like they're too long. I'd rather have this be on a review page if there was another page in the budget. But I prefer to have headlines and stars just for the scan readers, really. Now on the service page, just to take a quick look, we've got clear call to actions, more information as is appropriate to the service page, frequently asked questions. Again, that's a way to assist the customer in their journey towards a conversion. This is to address the questions that they need answers for. And of course, then that's followed with a call to action. Now, the client was after a quote form. These are not often used, to be honest. Any form with too many fields is often not used. But, it was a client request and it's there. And yeah, it's very functional and very easy to use. Now, I will say that within hours of this site going live, it started to bring in conversions. So I'm really pleased with the conversion aspect of this website. It's nice to see that it's working and they are getting in solid leads on a daily basis. And their previous Squarespace site, which was only geared towards aesthetics, was not doing that. In fact, in 2 years of having the site, they never once got a lead from it. So we've looked at the aesthetics. I think that's looking quite good on this site. And there's definitely a conversion and customer journey planned throughout the site and lots of customer journey assistance. Okay, so, what the customer needs whenever they need it, there's a real attempt for it to be available to them. So let's have a look at how this site addresses SEO and ranking. So returning to the homepage, and I will just take this opportunity to say that, in hindsight, this is the old development site of this. This text needed to come down for a bit of visual hierarchy so that this takes a bit more prominence. So there were some aesthetic tweaks that took place after this stage of the site. And so there was it had a better balance. It has a better balance, I'm sorry. But what is the function of all of these? Well, this is obviously to appeal to the customer. It's a place to communicate with them and build relationship and rapport. That is most definitely a part of the customer journey and relating to the company. This also is assistance in that. So we're communicating important information. And the idea is that all of this looks aesthetically pleasing whilst that's happening. Again, this is smaller. But what about this one? Well, this does serve a function for the customer journey. If we go along to the doors page or the worktops page, and let's do that, it's a helpful label type heading which says to us we're on the right page, and it sets the context for awesome puns like this one, which was mine. And that is part of the customer journey. It's appropriate labeling of the page that we're on. Now, this is also on every page. It's the H1 heading. So for SEO and ranking, one of the first things that we need to do is fix on an appropriate keyword focus. And we need to start ensuring that that's in the H1 headings. We have to set H tags for all of the headings on our page and ensure that they are in a correct hierarchy. And that is the case here. It's a myth that the H1 heading has to be the biggest. There was an article recently featuring quoting John Mueller as saying that the H1 or the size of headings is not relative. It's not something that Google is paying attention to. And that makes sense, because it's always been quite difficult to put a keyword focused heading on home pages or on service pages without it seeming a bit sort of spammy and keyword stuffing. But the truth is, you can create a lovely heading structure using more appropriately sized headings, and I feel that this is what I've achieved here. And so looking at this heading structure, we get a good idea, and so does Google, of the content of this web page. Now, obviously, it's not all about heading structure. We need to have appropriate alt tags on all of the images. And of course, how we build the page and its page speed is a consideration in SEO and ranking. So too are accessibility considerations. And so that gives you an idea of how everything has to really come together if you want to get a website that's sitting in the middle, true web design, which is beautiful. It gives a good customer journey, and then also it ranks and on search engines and gets traffic to your site. So let's have a look at another site just to make this point. This is my new site. I've put this live a couple of days ago. A few days ago, it looked more like this, which was just, yeah, fine, whatever. But I decided I wanted to change it up a little bit. And in doing so, it was nice to take some time to really consider all of these different aspects. And so if we have a look at that, obviously I'd like to think that, it's aesthetically pleasing, maybe apart from this bit. But as we go down the page, my intention also is for people to get an immediate idea of what is presented and how my services can assist them. And that's really what I'm trying to do. So I've given a clear start here. Whilst I want people to understand the entire digital growth strategy I'm happy to take them on, it starts here, and that's what I wanted to make clear. Obviously, this is the home page, so I'm doing a bit of an introduction to myself. In all honesty, I don't have an about page yet, which would sit humbly up here. But obviously, when I do have one, there will be a link to that. And then, of course, I'm going into more depth on a few different aspects, the build and the boost and the engage. And the idea is that people would feel informed. And as I build out more pages, there would be calls to actions there. So navigation and informational buttons, a bit of social proof. And again, on the digital growth strategy and calls to action. So, FAQs also feature on all of them. Now, of course, every page ends in a call to action, but we've had this following us down the whole time, because I feel like as soon as somebody has a bit of faith in what they're reading, they need to be able to just click and go. So I like to think that my new website is aesthetically pleasing, and it has a good conversion and focus and good customer journey. But what about the SEO side of it? Let's have a look at that very quickly. Returning to my Hrefs extension, we've got the H1 being web design for business. Now again, I've used my old tricks. That's actually this title here. But it's really appropriate there. It actually says what this page is about. And then this is the customer user focused heading. And that's really what I wanted to do. So again, just having a look at the heading structure, web design for business. And then we've got the H2 tags giving a really nice idea of the framework of the page. And then the H3s within that really communicating the more in-depth information. I don't think that Google is going to be confused about what the aim of this page is and what the content of the page is, and that's exactly how to start ranking even the homepage, which is not the most rankable page that you can get on a website, to be honest. So there you go. Those are the three different aspects of design that make up web design. And again, we all tend to focus more on the aesthetic. We go to inspiration sites that are all about the aesthetics. We present a visual homepage to clients, and we get their considerations and their fixes and revisions coming back on the aesthetics. And I think often to the detriment of conversion and ranking. I struggle sometimes with thinking that sometimes I want to say to clients, you don't know what you're talking about. You're messing up your conversions, you're messing up your ranking. Let me do my job. I'll make it look good, but I will also take care of these other considerations that are beyond your consideration. I said consideration too many times, whoops. But I certainly think that as you are learning to get into web design, or maybe you've been in it for a few years, it's always worth sharpening up each of those different areas of design and looking at how you can make all of them work together. They will always fight against each other, but I think that's actually part of the excitement, creating a nice page that brings all of those together really cohesively. On a personal note, I think that although it's the part I've been doing the longest, I struggle most with aesthetic design. It's the part in a project where I hit the white blank page, and I find that that's a difficult part for me. I'm more intuitive with customer journey and the psychology of a web page, and SEO ranking. It's quite easy to start understanding how that can be data driven and how you can put that together. But yeah, for me, I find it more difficult to get the aesthetic side together, although that is obviously an enjoyable part. I hope you found this useful. If you have any thoughts on what parts of design or components of design you find easiest or you find hardest, I would love to discuss that with you in the comments, so please do let me know. And if you'd like to like and subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic. If you would like to make use of a full web design course on Udemy, you can check out my No Coding Web Designer course, but you can actually get it for free if you follow the link in the description below, and I will send you a free link for that course. I'm doing that, and I'll be honest, because it features Elementor, which I'm not looking to use so much anymore, but you can learn a lot about the web design basics in that course. All of it is relevant. Using that course alone, you can actually start your own web design business. It has everything you need to do to start no coding web design. So I do highly recommend it. I'm also just giving it for free. Just follow the link in the description below. And obviously I have some more upcoming courses which will be more in depth on web design, on how to do the different elements of web design as discussed in this video. But also I want to look more at web design business and how to run your business, get clients, get payments, invoice. All of that's coming up. But in the meantime, get that free Udemy course. Just follow the description below. Again, please like, subscribe. My name's Chris Good, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video.